Ready?
Yeah, I'm moving your bookmark. Because that's where I want to read.
Yo, now how am I going to find my page?
Who cares?
I care? You're a cunt. You're a big cunt.
Ouchtown population, you, dude. Heyo! Hey everybody. Welcome to Brotherhood Without Manners. We are normally your full spoiler reread podcast of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series. But today we're talking about the TV show. The last fucking episode.
Ever.
I'm Zach.
I'm Nate.
That's Nate.
That's me.
And we're about to be watching the last episode of Game of Thrones ever to air on television. Besides the spinoffs.
Yeah, but those we're not counting. That's not Game
counting.
of Thrones. That won't be Game of Thrones. That'll be named something else.
Well, alright, elitist. Chill out.
Holy shit, it's just that they're going to be titled something different.
So, obviously, before we get into this week's series finale, we wanted to kind of rehash. We had some great listener write-ins, which if you want to hit Twitter first and give us the lowdown on Twitters. We had some people writing into us about the bells and lots of feelings about the bells.
Yeah.
Lots of feelings about the bells.
So we had Matt Woolsey at AriesGodFF wrote in. He was, pretty much on board. He thought that the episode was great, loved the season so far, and he gets the various criticisms, similar to most of our complaints, with just everything being a little bit rushed, but what are you going to do? So he did make the nice comparison between Grey Worm and how part of the reason that the Masters kept the Unsullied away from women was because they had the potential to lose that Unsullied aspect of them by forming a relationship, similar to how the Jedi felt with Anakin Skywalker. And absolutely great comparison.
Yeah.
Good catch. Appreciate you bringing that up. Thanks
Appreciate
for
you writing
following
in.
us.
Yeah.
So
we also heard from the Not So Silent sisters this week who had quite a bit to say about the bells, but we'll just touch on their various good points here. They began by saying, putting aside the writing, because they do have some issues there, the visuals, the music, the acting, all superb. This episode was phenomenal in that, in what is that called? The technical department? The
production quality.
The production quality, I guess.
Suppose. Yeah, all the things that come together. The main complaints, and that seems to be the case with a lot of, most of the people that are complaining heavily out there, is they don't like the writing. And while we're not on the, fuck D&D at life and everything, we can understand if people are disgruntled with their writing. Not that it's necessarily bad.
Yeah.
I can't write as good as they could, so.
Well, they so they thought the production quality was just great. They also point out, and I know you haven't, but they mentioned Westworld and the way Ramin Djawadi, I always fuck up his last name.
Yeah, I had messaged them back and mentioned some stuff about that also.
It has a pretty similar scene in that show. It's
funny because it was right after this episode that Zach and I were talking about how I haven't seen Westworld, and he made me watch a few scenes that were accompanied by Ramin's music. Specifically, like, watch this badass scene. This is Ramin. And, I've had, even though I haven't seen the show, I have the Westworld soundtrack, all Ramin's just work. So we completely agree. Underrated composer, doesn't get nearly enough attention for his work on any of the series
he's been hitting it this season so goddamn hard.
Absolutely.
They also, they're not too pleased with Dany, and, I agree, it does feel rushed with Dany. I think that's why I'm looking forward to the books. Because the books we're really going to get that descent. If she goes completely mad, if she goes that far,
we'll get to
see it, and it'll make a little more sense. But they do point out, and I caught this as well, because I remember when we were watching, I said that she just looked pretty ominous sitting on her throne. But they point out that in the scene where Dany tells Tyrion, the next time you fail me will be the last time you fail me, that the way she's perched on on the throne gave off major Joffrey vibes.
Yeah.
And I 100% agree rewatching it,
Yeah,
looking at
once
that
I
scene.
rewatched it with that
There
in
is
mind.
a casual slumpedness on this throne that is just very off-putting.
Yeah,
and
they definitely nailed that catch, because I didn't notice it the first time, but once they pointed it out and I rewatched it, it's definitely noticeable. So I wanted to mention that they agreed with, Arya killing it, and then the sad Sandor part where she thanked
all the
him.
feels.
Good stuff. And then they've got some inductees.
Yes, they gave us some inductees from the Bells episode, which we appreciate.
Yes. So first was Afton.
Yeah.
And she was inducting the little girl that stood against the pillar in King's Landing as fire and chaos erupted around her.
That's such a good one.
What a great
Because that's one of
inductee.
my favorite images from that episode too. Is that little girl with a little splash of blood on her face, just terrified. And Brandy has chosen to induct the Pale Mare, which
Hell yes.
absolutely,
Hell yes.
absolutely great inductees. We welcome them. They welcome them to the Sisterhood. We welcome them to the Brotherhood, and we welcome all of you to also send in any inductees you would have. But thank you to the Not So Silent Sisters for sending us yet another insightful, great pointed email. And so, yeah, my feelings haven't changed too much. I'm more just dealing with the fact that this is the last Sunday we're ever going to get to gather.
Yeah.
And see Jon Snow and Tyrion Lannister and Daenerys Targaryen.
With that in mind, if there's one thing you're hoping to see tonight, what are you hoping it'll be?
Hoping? I don't even, I don't have any hope.
That's it. I've been getting asked a lot this past week.
I'm hoping for a Game of Thrones worthy cliffhanger sort of thing, where I'm okay with them not hand-holding us and giving us this definitive. And I know everyone has heard the fucking words bittersweet in regards to this ending. I'm not talking about just bittersweet. I want a good, holy shit type thing, but this is the last episode, so there is going to be no conclusion. So if it can be done right, and I don't want it to be wishy-washy or cheap or just oh no, who did it, type thing. It's got to be poignant. It's got to be good. It's got to make sense in the story. Obviously, I know a lot of people think that this season hasn't made sense at all in the story, but I digress. I would love one last, and you and I sort of talked about it, that maybe it's something like we find out that. And obviously this is the show, and the show has gone so far off the rails at this point. Not in a bad way to me, but this was just a crazy theory. But we were talking about, what if the White Walkers aren't done? And just by killing the Night King, you didn't end that threat.
Well, that's right.
You ended this cycle of it.
That Night King is just one of many more Night Kings up there.
And so maybe it'll end with Bran having a vision up into the heart of winter again.
And having to take a trip
and
plant himself in a tree and become the next
and rebuild the wall.
And do the same thing.
And the cycle continues, because Dany didn't break the wheel. Everything just kept on happening the way it did. And while to a lot of people the Night King felt anticlimactic, maybe that's their reasoning for it. He really, because he's not the figurehead. He's not the be-all, end-all of this.
But but who knows?
Who
what they could
the fuck knows? So, what about you? You got any hopes, wants, wishes? Someone you want to see through to the end?
I would really like to see Arya go west.
I would love Arya
I know I don't think it's been her primary goal in the show.
Well, she did. She did mention it to Lady Crane.
Yeah, and so it would be cool to see that happen. I suppose what I hope is more that I don't want to see her go to Gendry.
Honestly, what else would Arya do besides go west? Unless she dies. In staying true to character, and you can bitch at me all you want that the character development's been shit this season, I don't think it has. It's not in Arya's character to go to Gendry. They made that a point. That a point. If she runs to Storm's End, Storm's End, not Dragonstone. Storm's End. If she runs to Storm's End to Gendry, that's a complete destruction of character, because she's made it very clear. So the only thing I see left is either she dies trying to take Dany down, or doing a retaliatory attack toward Dany, or she goes west, because west to Westeros.
Yeah, so I could see some kind of Gendry taking the throne type deal, allowing the North to be the North. I wouldn't be upset if the Seven Kingdoms became Seven Kingdoms again. You know, that'd be kind of a cool way to end it. You know, all of a sudden, you know what? Sansa was very upset about this thing. We'll keep the king in the north. Everyone gets their own territory. Let's be friends and just rule ourselves. And that's that. But, you know, I don't really know. It's gonna be fucking wild. So
it's gonna be the end,
and it's happening very shortly.
Very, very shortly. So. There's not much else to say. This is it. This is the last episode of Game of Thrones.
So we'll be back here in just a few minutes, well, for seconds for you guys, but after tonight's episode, there's going to be a little bit of a break for show-related content.
Yes.
And then we're planning on having a big entire series wrap-up episode that we're putting a lot of thought into. We're going to kind of get some cool things to discuss, so... Be ready for
There's going to be a wait for it, but yeah, that will be releasing, and we'll keep updating you, obviously.
Yeah, and we'll be back here in just a few minutes after having seen the series finale of Game of Thrones.
I'm going to pee my pants.
Yeah, I can't handle this business. I'm not talking, I'm dead.
So we just finished the episode, the last episode of Game of Thrones that we're ever going to get.
Moments ago. I'm still pretty shook.
I'm still pretty shook. I also have a Varric hair in my mouth. Holy shit. So I can say right off the bat that I don't know how I feel about this episode. I know that I'm okay. I liked it. It didn't ruin anything. It's not the Dexter ending where the whole show is ruined for me. I know that more than any other episode, this one I'm going to have some nitpicks with. But for the overall...
Really?
Yeah. I think my biggest issue, just right going into it, what did Jon's arc really matter? Like, the whole Targaryen lineage. I know to create the tension between Dany,
that's the point of it, though. That
I kind of, yeah.
That it didn't matter.
Okay, so, like...
He's Jon Snow, Aegon Targaryen, he's the outcast. He's not... If
that's the point, then I'm okay with it. But kind of tripped me up a little bit.
Until I watch it again, at the moment, I'm thrilled.
No, besides just that, I'm thrilled with everything else. So jumping into it, they gave us the countdown to the series finale at the beginning.
Yeah, which
was pretty intense. And
yeah,
then
I started getting anxiety right then.
We got the opening credits for the last time, which are great this season, and we opened with Tyrion walking through the fucking
rubble,
devastation, and that was just such a haunting image. Jon and Davos slightly behind him.
Children, and we saw like the horse, the little girl that had the little toy horse. And
we saw there was a pretty brutal kid that was not burnt,
the guy walking
was,
by.
Crushed. Yeah, the dude that was walking by was all burnt and just fucked up.
All messed up. So Tyrion wants to go off on his own. He does. We get a fucking amazing backdrop there of the collapsed bridge
bell tower,
with behind the back part of that was the Red Keep just destroyed, and so Tyrion makes his way down.
This was a scene I did not expect to get.
Me either.
When he saw that little flicker of light, because there were theories that maybe Jaime and Cersei were alive, and I didn't believe him. But when he saw that flicker of light, I was like, oh shit, maybe. And then he digs through the rubble pile and he finds him, and that just fucking got me.
Already, so quick into the episode, and I was gone too.
And I mean, and then we get the shot. He uncovers them quite a bit.
And them hugging each other.
Jaime hugging her. And I think, I don't even think it's just for Jaime there. He's sobbing for both of them. The loss of his family, that he wasn't able to save them.
Any of them.
Yeah, and so we get Jon, he's going to talk to the queen, so he's walking through the city, and he comes upon Grey Worm, and they've got a bunch of Lannister soldiers down on their knees, and Grey Worm gives the order, they're put to death. And Jon, very Ned Stark, very fucking Ned Stark, grabs him and is like, no, what are you doing? And he says, we're doing this by order of the queen.
Yeah,
and
all
shit
the
gets
guards,
tense.
wait.
And Davos is pleading,
Yeah.
look around you, friends. We won. What are we doing right now? This is nonsense. So Davos says,
tells him,
go talk to the queen. And Jon does. And as soon as Jon lets go of him, Grey Worm starts slitting their throats.
So I noticed, I suppose it's a nitpick, but Grey Worm, as soon as he slit the throat, he put his dagger back in its little sheath on his belt. Then he steps up behind the other one like he was going to slit its throat, as if there was a purpose for putting his dagger away to begin with. But
and then, so we get the shot of Jon walking through the Dothraki, pushing his way through the Dothraki,
and getting through the Unsullied.
Making his way through the Unsullied, and somehow Grey Worm comes to the top of the keep.
So clearly a little bit of time has passed.
Yeah, Jon made his way through the city, and Grey Worm went straight to Dany, and we get Jon going up these steps to the burnt, charred remains of the Red Keep, and with the Targaryen banner hanging off the side of it, and we see Dany approaching from inside.
So this is after the Drogon comes flying up over, because Jon stops on the stairs, and then Drogon flies around and lands in the keep, because it gives that fucking amazing scene where she's walking and the dragon wings spread out.
Well, when Jon, because Jon's coming up the stairs, and right as he crests the top of the stairs, we get Dany. You see Dany is walking toward him as well, and then it flips behind her quick, and we get that shot, and then it flips back, and Drogon behind her spreads his wings, and it looks like they're coming from her. It was an amazing shot, and Drogon takes off, and then we get the shot of Dany standing there, the Targaryen banner, the dragon,
and the Targaryen banner was so fucking sick, hanging on the destroyed Red Keep, and she makes a speech to the Dothraki and the Unsullied.
Jon goes and stands by her side, as does Grey Worm, and she tells the Dothraki, you tore down the knights in their stone houses, you gave me the 7 kingdoms, you did everything you said you would, but we're not done. We need to free the people,
and so
everywhere.
It's crazy, because it almost seems like D&D wrote these fucking episodes this fucking week, because everything that I've been listening to people bitching about the last few episodes, They had to be patient, because she starts saying, we liberated the slaves from the slavers, we liberated Meereen, we liberated these places. Now she's claiming she liberated King's Landing.
When she said that, in my head I was like, what the fuck is there left to, who's liberated?
Right,
Dany?
and so at this point,
but they're painting,
showing that she feels that anybody who served Cersei, that if they truly wanted to be free, just like the slaves, they would have up in arms and walked away. They didn't, so they didn't truly believe in Dany, so she liberated the ones that are.
So she keeps going for past the Summer Isles, the GHC,
Winterfell to Dorne,
Lannisport to Karth. We're going all over the map,
the world,
and the Dothraki are loving it. They're having it, and then
Tyrion
she turns to Grey Worm and makes him Master of War.
Yeah,
and the Dothraki are all for it, doing their little spear slammy slams, and then Tyrion walks forward, and I legit thought Tyrion was going to kill her here.
I did too.
I thought he had a dagger, because he was so broken over his brother and sister and the anger on his face. But he walks up, he takes his place near Jon, he watches his speech, and then he walks up to her, and she just says that, you freed your brother. And he says, yeah, I freed my brother, and you slaughtered a city.
And then he takes the pin.
He rips the pin off and chucks it. Fuck. And this is why I love Tyrion, man, because he believed in her, and that was the first thing he ever believed in, ever. And just how devastated he is by this, that symbolic taking off of the pin, because when she put it on him, he cried. It meant so much to him that someone he believed in so much wanted his advice and wanted his wisdom, and she just soiled it all. And he chucks it, and she tells the Unsullied to take him, and they do.
And so then I thought right here that Jon was going to kill Dany.
That's what I thought.
Because Tyrion gave Jon a little look as he was walking out, and that meant that all the guards had left Dany, and Grey Worm had left Dany, and instead they're walking away, and Jon just lets them pass, and he's watching them, and then it does this little pan view, and fucking Arya is next to him. Yo, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, Dany skirted out of there quick. She didn't have anything to say to Jon, so she kept going. And it does that pan, and all of a sudden Arya's there. And Jon is just as shocked as the audience is, but he basically tells her, what the fuck you doing here? Get out of the city, meet me by the gate. And Arya is trying to talk some sense into him,
Danny's you can't. She's not the queen to put your faith into
no one's going to bow to your queen. You really think Sansa's going to bow to your queen? And that's the start of Jon's awakening to sort of what Dany is and what he needs to do. But, yeah, I think at this point, Jon goes down to Tyrion's cell. And Jon's pretty fucking defeated at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he just watched his queen, who he had hope and faith in. He had fallen in love with her. Just slaughter this city.
And yet they cover Tyrion asks if he brought wine, which he didn't, and Tyrion's upset. But then they just kind of cover the whole gambit of Tyrion loved her too. And I
that's
think
it.
that was that glance on the boat.
Because Tyrion really breaks it down. And this is, again, that stuff that the writers, everyone said, it was rushed. Well, now they're flushing it out.
Yeah,
just because it's not the writing style you're used to. And they're explaining, he goes into the details of all the places she's liberated and how those people felt.
that was absolutely brilliant, where he said she kept defeating. Everywhere she went, she defeated these evil men. These evil men died, and we cheered her. Right. And she thought that what she was doing was right. And so now, and it's that's it. This is a believable slide where she has been told that what she's doing is right for so long. Now she believes that
there's no one that can tell her. She's the only one
who, with that vision, she knows what is right.
And so by planting that specific seed in his mind, because that's going to come around here in just a few minutes.
And it's a really, Jon is crying in the scene, and Tyrion's pretty weepy, and Tyrion's basically asking him, you've been on a dragon, you've had that power, would you have torched the city? And Jon says, I don't know, in the typical Jon, but Tyrion's not, you know what you would do.
And so again, that's what makes me think, it's almost like these were written in the last this episode was written in the last few days, with the response from everybody towards the writers, where they're just straight up this is exactly why. And it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not this crazy outlandish thing. She believes what she's doing is right. She's liberating those who won't or don't want to serve by killing those that refuse to, stop supporting Cersei.
Yeah. Tyrion straight up tells him basically that she's got to go, and you've pretty much got to be the one to do it, because who's left?
Right. And so Jon gets up to leave, and Tyrion gets desperate. He says, you have to choose now.
Yeah.
This is the time. That's it.
There's if what's going to happen to you? You're the one with the biggest threat right now to her claim. You don't have much time. Think of Ned Stark. You need to act at this point. And Jon leaves, and is that when we get...
So, fuck her name, Dany is looking at the throne, finally.
Yeah, we get her walking into the throne room, and we get her vision. But it's way worse than her vision.
So much worse.
She completely went bug shit on this, and I do think that is intentional. They specifically showed us Bran's vision of the dragon
shadow.
I think that they know the House of the Undying one was something people were expecting when Dany got there, and I think that it's meant to reflect just how
savage it's gotten.
Yeah, how much devastation there is, where in the vision, Dany could have taken it with minimal damage.
But if she went...
See, it's almost like the vision is if she just went after Cersei instead of the city, and then this is what it is now when she attacks the city.
Yeah. So she goes up and she's really looking at it, and we get that tense moment when she goes up and finally touches
she manages to touch it.
And it's real at that point for her. She's done it. She's got the
and
Iron Throne.
I really liked this shot, because over her shoulder you see her grabbing it. You see Jon start to materialize
and
out
it very
of the darkness.
Much, I think I even whispered it during the episode that it just Tyrion was asking Jon to become his brother. The Kingslayer.
The Kingslayer, yeah.
And take that title. But at the same time, Jon looks like Ned walking in on Jaime when he's up there just staring at the throne.
And that's it. Technically, Jon has the better claim. So, it's that. It's...
Yeah.
Again, if you claim bad writing, I don't agree, because the symmetry of that, just that scene alone, Jon walking into the throne room as Dany's approaching it, with what Tyrion has asked Jon to do on his mind, with Ned Stark on his mind, just sort of in who he is, and just... So, yeah, Jon walks up behind her, Dany turns, and...
Dany doesn't even get the chance to sit on the throne.
This like, hats off to Emilia Clarke, because this
her
fucking
face
scared me. The way she turned around and was joking and was like, ha ha ha, I expected, and I think this was a book reader's nod, but a tower, when they said it's the thousand blades of Aegon's enemies, I expected it to be this long, towering thing you had to climb.
Which, in the books, if you're not a book follower,
shame.
Well, all right, well, they'll get there. It's okay. The Iron Throne is this colossal, massive thing. It's actually like 10 times the size of what we see, and it is this jumbled mess with like this rickety staircase leading up to it of swords. Like, it's massive.
And so she makes that joke, and she's just smiley, and it creeped me out.
So also, just like you, hats off to Emilia Clarke when she was first looking at the throne.
Yeah.
Her face, just the desire that's finally being
all of it,
and
all the years, all the pain, all the
ever
trials.
since Viserys was little, with her telling her these stories about this throne that they will have, and it's finally come to fruition.
Yeah, it is in her grasp. She's literally touched it.
And so she gets right up with Jon, and he's begging her to pardon Tyrion.
Tyrion. Yeah, we need to start doing mercy. And she said, you've had to do this to people who have committed treason behind your back, and even if it broke your heart, we have to do this. And he's saying, no, like, mercy is our way. And she just basically starts saying that our way is the way, like, and she says, join me. Yeah, she's
like, you're good. You've always been good. Good.
So we get to make those choices.
We get to decide what's good. No, and then he says, well, what about the other people who think that things are good? And she says,
they don't get a choice.
They don't get to choose it.
Yeah.
And then that's the
moment of it. Yeah, that's what Tyrion was saying, where she thinks she knows what is right, like, it's might is right type thing with Voldemort and then the Ministry of Magic, like, and so my way or the highway,
basically, like, so are you gonna join me? And he's forever and always my queen, basically.
Yeah, Jon is fucking weepy at this point, and he says, you will always be my queen, and they start macking it hard, and
you hear it,
just Jon kills Daenerys. Blade through the heart, I think.
Or it looked like it was right there.
And he lowers her down. He's devastated by it.
And we hear the shrieks of Drogon.
Yeah, Drogon immediately is pissed.
I don't think it was pissed. I think he was upset, obviously.
Well, heartbroken.
Just he knows, and so he floats around.
It's a great scene of them in this destroyed throne room. Jon laying Dany down.
And I really like that it wasn't like this long drawn out. She doesn't have this monologue. She's dead.
Yeah,
she sees like it occurs to her that he just did what he did.
Yeah.
And then she dies. Like, that's it.
And Jon's devastated. Drogon lands in the throne room, and he checks Dany out, does the sad nuzzle Lion King thing.
Here.
It was pretty sad. And then he looks pretty pissed at Jon, and he rears his head up, and you see the flames kick up, and he just blasts. And I knew he was going to do it.
Well, first he goes around the window and the walls, and then he lights again and just destroys the throne.
Which, supposedly, only Balerion the Dread had flames hot enough to forge the Iron Throne. So the fact that Drogon can melt it is pretty impressive. I thought that anyway.
Yeah,
but it was a fantastic scene. Great symbolism for the show.
Yeah.
Just the melting.
And it's definitely something that I think we've even discussed before that we expected to happen. A lot of people have thought that Drogon himself would be melting the Iron Throne, that it was a potential outcome.
Actually, it just kind of fucking dumbstruck me like lightning. We got the scene, before all this, we got the scene of Jon approaching Drogon in the snow.
Yeah, well, that was more him just going up to approach Dany. Drogon was laying in front of the door, blocking.
Yeah, but then Jon turned and went up to him. And,
he was, Drogon was giving him the okay to pass.
Well, like,
and all that,
was Drogon picking up on what Jon wanted, like, with the throne?
I don't think so.
And just being like, nah, fuck this thing. Like, this is the cause of it all.
No, personally, I think it was just that he was laying outside the door, and because he trusted Jon, he let him in. And not that he knew that there was going to be any kind of repercussions. Because honestly, regardless of who it was, I don't think he would have allowed it to happen if he knew that was going to happen.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not thinking that Drogon was expecting something bad. I'm just saying that maybe he was, because Jon is a Targaryen, Jon had some connection with him, so when Dany was dead, it wasn't that Drogon was angry, it was that he was picking up on Jon's emotions and realized that Jon blamed the throne for it. Jon hates this thing more than anything else, so maybe Drogon sort of like imprinted on the nearest Targaryen and was then picking up what Jon was feeling, which was dread at killing Dany.
And that he has to leave, and that the dragon shouldn't be here.
Yeah, no one should be here anymore.
Yeah.
Like, so I just thought maybe Jon and Drogon were having a moment there.
Well, to further that, like, Jon thinking that the dragon is too powerful for everyone, it needs to leave forever, and that's why, because then it does scoop up Dany and he leaves.
And I really liked that image of just Dany in its clutches.
And I hate to even
Dexter.
Yeah, and I was
Deb,
like, this is how it goes. This is how you should have done it.
This is how you do it well.
This is how something rides off into the storm, dead, and you know.
Yeah, dead and
I thought that was very good. That she got carried off by her last dragon. Her child was the one.
Who knows where.
And that'll get brought up again in a little bit. Where's Drogon, who actually knows, but it doesn't really matter. And so
Jon is just left in this broken throne room, melted iron throne.
And I was like, fuck, what happens now? Are they gonna be like, oh, he killed it, he has the claim, he gets to do stuff? And
so we open on Tyrion in his cell.
And I immediately noticed his beard had grown, but I was confused because I thought that Jon would have been taking control and would have been freed by now, but...
Well, so he gets led by Grey Worm up and we get taken to the Dragon Pit, and here's this pavilion of all the High Lords of Westeros.
So up here...
For a minute, I was laughing because I was like, because I thought Jon had control at this point, so I was like, did Jon just, let Tyrion sit down there just to be like, we're having a meeting?
Exact same thing. I thought that he was going to have, the trial now, and it was, he did betray her, so we're going to do the trial, but Jon's not there either.
No.
The Unsullied have taken control of King's Landing, and they have Tyrion and Jon
as
prisoners. So Sansa, Bran, Arya...
Yeah,
Sansa brought Northmen down, thousands of them, and Samwell Tarly's there, Edmure Tully.
So we have this good fucking powwow that doesn't have the bitchiness of Cersei, so it actually has the means to be productive. And fucking everyone's there, even Robin Arryn,
Edmure Tully, just all of them, all those.
Yara Greyjoy.
Right, Yara's there.
There was the dude who was just dressed in Dornish garb, which I think they know. Stop spending time on Dorne
they don't even try.
So
so Grey Worm is very he
wants Jon dead.
Yeah, he wants justice, and
we get the exposition here that they all know Jon killed Dany. Everyone knows Jon killed Dany, and so the Unsullied took him prisoner. And which I actually found surprising. I figured the Unsullied would have just killed him right out.
They just had all these orders to kill all the Lannister men. He kills Dany, take him prisoner.
Yeah.
But whatever,
And so, they're discussing what to do, and we kind of realize, we have no...
Well, Yara, I liked that she was backing Dany. She was like, no, kill him. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck Jon Snow.
But then Arya was like, say that again about my brother, and I will come over there and slit your throat. And, those two fighting, Arya would fuck Yara.
Arya would fuck Yara.
Sorry, Yara. Yara's
Yara. Your name is just Arya backwards, or something like that.
Array, but close enough,
bitch.
All right.
They'll be calling
anyway. So it ends up leading to them deciding.
Well, even Tyrion, Tyrion, I think says give it let your king or queen decide, and they're all none of us chose, and so
Edmure Tully steps up to the plate.
As soon as he did it, I was like, "Oh, please, no!"
So similarly, I also think this had to do with a bit of the writers saying, "You know what, fuck you guys."
Yeah,
because a lot of fans were like, "Oh, where's Edmure?
Where's Edmure?
And so he steps up, and he's gonna be the one to. Oh, we're gonna give the throne to Edmure.
Sansa killed it this episode.
Yo,
Uncle. Please sit down.
Please sit down.
And then he bumbles for a minute. He looks at Sam. Everyone's avoiding eye contact because he basically, I would like to be king.
And then she does the eye thing.
He's trying to be gracious about it, but he's just failing. And Sansa tells him to sit down. And then she
he
does
like
the eye gesture
looks at the chair,
and he bumbles with his sword. He's like hitting the fucking pavilion stake.
It was so good.
Fuck off, Edmure.
And so then
we get the
Tyrion has his exposition.
Well, Edmure looks at Tyrion and says, "I bet you want it." And Tyrion's like, "Nah, like I've made so many mistakes, and half the people want me dead because I supported Dany. The other half want me dead."
Also gave the democracy option: let the small people vote.
Yeah, and they all
vote, and they laughed
at him.
Like fuck you
Even
guys.
Sansa laughed.
Even Sansa chuckled a bit.
Tyrion, they're not quite that progressive.
No.
But Tyrion starts giving this great monologue.
And I didn't actually anticipate it to go this way.
I did not.
But
either.
I am so okay with the way that they built it and they
he started
it.
and like it was. I think I'm gonna rewatch this scene forever because it's such a good wrap up of the show.
Old Nan.
It's all about stories.
Well, that's it. Yes.
And the stories we tell, the stories we keep, the
Nothing
stories
can
that
kill
define
them.
us. And so, with that in mind, we should elect Bran the Broken, who went north of the wall as a child,
who climbed a tower, survived falling from the tower, going north of the wall,
becoming the Three-Eyed Raven, coming back,
fighting the battle,
fighting
for the long night,
like,
like all these things. We know he doesn't want it. We know he doesn't care, but he's the one that will
our
lead
collective
us.
Memory.
He is the past. Let him lead us into the future.
So we won't repeat it. It's
and
that
slowly but surely everyone agrees, and fuck yeah, like I'm so glad.
Well, Tyrion asks Bran, if we offered it to you, would you take it? And Bran says, "Why do you think I came all the way down here?"
He knew.
Yeah, and so
well, then the reason I was really fuck yang is Sansa stuck to her guns this whole season, and she turns to him and says, "I love you, brother, and like good for you, but the North is not kneeling ever again.
We do not kneel.
We will," and then turns and says, "The North will be our independent nation. We will not be part of the Seven Kingdoms anymore."
And Bran grants it.
And he gives him the nod, and then Tyrion says to Bran the Broken, first of his, name, leader of the Six Kingdoms.
Yeah.
And fuck, that was cool.
Yeah. And everybody agrees, and Tyrion says, well, somebody says, I can't remember who specifically, but says that Bran, Grey Worm says Bran can't because Bran won't be able to father children, that type of thing.
And that's exactly what
Tyrion says that's exactly what they want. From this day forward, no longer will kings be chosen by birth. They'll be chosen by the high lords and ladies here in this exact place. So Tyrion is establishing this sort of voting system. It's not all the way down to the people yet, but...
And so Bran says, perfect. But you're my hand.
Yeah.
And he calls Tyrion his hand there. And Grey Worm's like, no. He's here to seek justice. And he goes, what do you think I just did? He's going to spend the rest of his life fixing the problems that he's created.
Yeah.
What worse life can you think of?
Tyrion doesn't want it, fights it a bit, but doesn't really have a fucking choice.
And then I think it goes to Tyrion visiting Jon in the cell.
Yeah.
Just like that. And he's telling Jon that the only way to make things work was by sending Jon to the wall.
Yeah, the Unsullied want him dead, and obviously Sansa and Arya want him freed. The only real compromise that Bran could come to would be Jon lives out his life at the wall. He can father no children, take no wife, hold no lands or titles, yada yada yada, the whole spiel.
And then so Jon says there's still a Night's Watch. And Tyrion says, we're always going to need a place to send the bastards, the cripples, and the broken. Which is the people that he, in Bran 4, which came out this past Monday, he says to Robb Stark that he has a soft spot in his heart for the bastards, cripples, and broken.
I mean, he also says it in the show.
Well, whatever.
Yeah, and so Jon Snow is freed, and we get Tyrion then setting up what appears to be a small council meeting as he's adjusting the chairs and taking Tywin's accustomed spot, and just seeing Tyrion sitting at the hand of the king table, or the king's council's chamber, hand of the king table seat thing, and in King's Landing, ready to help govern. It was just a trip, and then we get the Lords coming in. We get Sir Bronn.
Yo, Sir Bronn of the Blackwater, Lord of the High Garden.
And Lord Paramount of the South, is that
Lord
it?
Paramount of
the Reach?
The Reach.
And then we get and Master of Coin.
And Master of Coin. We get Sir Brienne. I don't know, remember, Sir, what was she, Master of Law? Or something like that, I believe, or Justice, or...
I don't think she...
They said it.
Did they?
Yeah, because I just forget exactly what it was. And then Master of Ships, we have Sir Davos. And Grandmeister Tarly.
Or Archmaester, was he?
Grandmeister.
Grand?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Tyrion's got this little squad, and then in comes Bran, and basically, the only thing Bran asks is if there's been word of Drogon. And Sam says that he was seen flying east, and Bronn says, good, the further away the better. And Bran says, maybe I can locate him. You all focus on the rest.
So I'm upset that it's the last episode because I really wish we got more Bronn and Samwell Tarly. Because Bronn kept interrupting or joking about everything Sam would mention, and you could tell that Sam didn't know what to do with any of it. But Sam brought the book in, A Song of Ice and Fire, for Tyrion to read. And the only thing that upset Tyrion was that he wasn't mentioned, which was the funny way to build
bullshit.
It all. Yeah, they
always
can't have the Battle of the Blackwater.
My man.
It's always those Maesters, man. They're fucking over people.
And so, we get this crew, and Sir Pod comes up and helps.
Sir Podrick takes
Bran,
he got
the king.
knighted. Thank you that little nod.
Yeah, he is now, I think, the king's royal wheelchair bearer.
Hell yeah.
And so, we get this little grouping here of they start arguing about, repairing ships and
that they need to
come
up with a
and
Master of War and a... What was the other one? Master of Whispers. Bran is his own Master of Whispers. Yeah. Come on.
But, we get just the governance. It's a pretty funny scene.
And what
it's
a great group
scene.
They
slowly pan out from it, and I love the last thing we get is, I once brought a honeycomb and a jackass into a brothel. And that's it.
Yeah, they're talking about opening and funding brothels, and Brienne saying...
Well, a lot of the brothels had burned down, and Bronn was worried about it and wanted to find some.
And Brienne says that the coin should probably be going to the ships.
Yeah.
And it was just a really good way to show that King's Landing's being handled. And then I believe it jumps to Jon leaving on the docks.
Yep.
And he gets greeted by Sansa and Arya and Bran.
Yeah, King Bran.
King Bran, man.
And...
This scene fucking
Sansa asks if he can forgive him for telling Tyrion his secret, that it was the only way that things would iron out. And Jon says, basically, it's no biggie. And
they hug, and then they hug tight, and then I got weepy, and then he goes to Arya. Fuck this part, yo.
Yeah, that one this part hard. Sucked.
And so she's going west.
Well, obviously.
West. Arya reveals here that she's
not
west
going
of
Westeros.
North. She's going west, and explains why, that...
And Jon that smile of Jon's is like, what else were you going to do?
You got your needle?
Yeah.
You got your needle? Yo, that tore me up.
Maisie killed it.
And then, she just starts fucking crying herself, and it's like, God damn it, I can't do this again. I'm done. I'm done with this podcast. I can't talk about
Good.
this.
And then Jon moves on to King Bran and basically tells him that I'm sorry I wasn't there when you needed me. And Bran says you were exactly where you were supposed to be.
Those number of times throughout the series that Bran was up in a tower watching Jon fight, that Bran was crawling underneath some bushes and Jon's fighting at Craster's Keep.
Jon was the reason the Night King and the Army of the Dead was defeated. There's no way. So, Bran's right here. And he killed Daenerys. He stopped the last tyrant maybe not the last tyrant in this world, but in our story. The last person who would have subjugated people, even... as little as she believes it, it's still thinking her way of thinking is the right way for everybody is still a way of subjugation. So Jon freed it from that. And now we've got Tyrion, we've got Bronn, we've got Brienne and fucking Pod and Davos and Samwell Tarly, who will check each other's worst impulses and will help each other. And it'll get better as they keep doing it, and that moves forward. And so, we start just getting this scene of it's cutting to everybody getting ready. King Bran getting dressed. Arya putting on her stuff and
Jon
gathering
Snow
her
getting
different
his
stuff.
stuff
Jon
all
Snow
collected.
on his...
Sansa getting this dope-ass werewood tree dress put on.
Yeah, and Jon arrives at the wall in this sort of montage and sees Tormund and starts pushing his way through first Brothers of the Night's Watch
And then
wildlings that he's brought south of the wall.
And it's just so cool because even Tormund back a couple episodes ago said, "You've got the North in you."
Oh,
the
yeah,
far
the
north,
true
the
North.
true
Yeah.
North in you.
And so then we see Arya, she
On
comes
her
on,
ship.
she comes up on deck on a ship, which I have to assume she's the captain of.
Yeah, she's got to be.
And she goes to the front of it. I don't know about fucking ship talk.
And it just really reminds me
the-
of those old stories of like when they're sailing and like the first Targaryen to go sailing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Like, it pans out and like you were gonna say.
Yeah, it just had the Stark carved the the
Yeah.
wolf head on the front of the ship, and then the Stark sails as well.
Which was so
dope
cool.
I feel like there's going to be histories and legends wrote about Arya and what she
that's
discovers.
it for Arya right there, and that's it.
And
Perfect.
then Sansa, we get this crazy gown, and
She's just walking through the
we
Great
get
Hall.
a headpiece put on her. And,
Well, no, because she's walking through the Great Hall first.
Oh, yeah,
there,
that's right.
the
And
people start
everyone's kneeling.
And then she finally gets to that cool little wooden
that
direwolf
sick fucking
throne,
direwolf throne.
and she sits down. And we're sorry about Beric tonight.
He's excited that Ghost came back.
Yeah, so Sansa sits, gets a sick-ass crown put on, and they start chanting Queen of the
Queen
North.
of the North. The North is now an independent nation,
Yes.
and Sansa
Is
is
the queen.
ruling it. And I don't think it's like that's nefarious. I don't think it's Sansa got what she wanted.
she's the
I think
Cersei
it's
here now. No,
Ned
she's got
Stark's
the-
daughter is ruling the North now. She will make sure people are fed and cared for.
So then, we get to see Jon cuddling with some ghosts.
Yeah, he reunites with
So
Ghosts.
fuck you, all you people. I told you that he wouldn't leave him behind.
Yeah, no,
I
that
know
was
it
a
was
great
kind of
scene.
forced on him, but, fuck you.
And we get Jon and Tormund riding through the tunnel with the wildlings following them, and then they ride out through the gate, and Jon looks back as the gate closes behind them all.
His world closes behind him.
Everything he's known. Jon's never going south of the wall again.
Never.
And again, Jon leads the people who he led to safety south.
I think he's the new king of the North.
I think he's the king beyond the wall.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Tormund will follow him till he dies, and I think every single other wildling
And
will there.
the songs and stories that are going to be sung about Jon Snow, king beyond the wall.
About all of them. Queen
like,
Sansa, Queen in the North, fucking Captain Arya, explorer of the seas, the King Bran the Broken, Tyrion Lannister, hand of King Joffrey, then Daenerys Daenerys Targaryen, then fucking King Bran. Sir Brienne, a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms.
I think she was also the Kingsguard. Head of the
Brienne
Kingsguard.
fucking filled out Jaime's
I was a mess
in the White Book.
I was a mess when she started filling it because she very much could have been like, "Yo, this bitch left me, fuck that son." But she filled out she gave him details, and he. And I don't quite remember if it happened in the show, but in the books, that was something he was very worried about. He was like, "What am I?"
Joffrey gives him a lot of shit in the show about his page being empty,
and so to go through, and she fills it in,
and then the very end, he died for his queen.
What
she's
more does
she's not bitter about it. She doesn't, hold it. That he chose wrong, but he chose his queen, and it also happened to be his sister lover, but. Yeah, that part got me. Brienne filling in his page
was so good, and so I think that she's actually the head of the Kingsguard now.
I think you're right. Yeah,
which would make sense.
And that's it. The last shot is Jon Snow riding away into the north
to the woods, which aren't nearly as imposing as they were. Which I think is great though, because I don't know if you said it earlier, but you said it to me off mic that the first shot in the show is north of the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Last shot of the show.
Yeah,
north of the wall.
So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We are done with Game of Thrones, the television show.
Dun, 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 dun. So who's
Peter Dinklage fucking lived through the whole goddamn thing, man.
He made it.
I did not have to see him die.
Who's your season finale inductee?
My season finale inductee. Oh man, this is hard.
For me,
mine's gonna go to our rest in peace, Daenerys fucking Targaryen. I'm sorry that you turned the way you did,
even though it almost seems inevitable, but you got what you set out for. You, in the pilot, the Iron Throne was what was set out for you in your future. And in this episode, you got to touch it and feel it.
It was yours.
It was yours, and then you died. What I think is one of the most haunting deaths, just the visual of it. So, Daenerys, probably be the only time I ever give you an inductee anyway. So, yeah, I think her, just for that. Man, that was good. It was good. Good. Who's yours?
Mine's kind of a cheat, but I want to give mine to the writers.
Cheat.
And the not just the writers, but like all those fuckers. This will be an honorary, and then I'll give a real one after. Like the crew and the fucking all the fucking, you know, people that put up with all this shit, especially this season of this is a shit season. Remake this season. Like this is a fucking outstanding season, a great series finale in my opinion.
Yeah,
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like it still had tense moments. It had some of the most endearing moments. Seeing Jon and Arya say goodbye again, you know, after their reunion, it was so good. And like, but that's how I wanted it. Like that's what's crazy is none of this was bittersweet. The bittersweet part is Jon leaving Westeros forever, Arya leaving Westeros forever, Dany dying.
Yeah,
but otherwise, like. It's looking like they're gonna get the long fucking summer now. Like this looks like it's fucking peace and prosperity. Like
yeah, no,
yeah.
I thought it was great. So who's your true? Yeah, so cast and crew, hats off, because I thought,
especially if you're dealing with all the shitty fans, the toxic fans that you know have been giving shit to it. But Sir Davos. For making it through, man. Davos, you know, he himself expected to die at every single battle he was ever in, and all he wanted was to not die.
I thought for sure it was going to Sir Pod.
And that's all he needs he needed his knighting. He doesn't need any more praise from me. He's a good knight. He's there to do his duty. Speaking of duty, that was some lines that Tyrion said to Jon. When Jon quoted Maester Aemon.
Oh, yeah.
And he says that love is the death of duty.
Maybe.
Or no, death is the love. Duty is the death of love is what Tyrion said. And so just that reversal, and I like how Tyrion was like, did you just come up with that?
Yeah.
No way.
Well, that was also how Tyrion basically told him you need to kill Daenerys.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes duty is the death of love. Like,
right.
You need to kill your love type thing.
But yeah, so what an outstanding episode. Let us know what you guys think. Who do you have for inductees? So we will be doing a full series wrap-up in about 2 weeks or so. We'll have exact dates on social medias. Our social medias, I'm on Twitter, @MannersWithout. We have our Facebook, facebook.com/Brotherhood Without. Check out our website, www.brotherhoodwithout.com. Patreon, we have our Mercy chapter up there. We're working on recording the next sample chapter, which will be Theon's, I think.
I think so.
Word. So Patreon.
I'm so lost in the show.
Yeah, no kidding. Patreon.com/MannersWithout, and our Gmail, Without Manners, Brotherhood@gmail.com.
Bam, bam.
Leave us a review, subscribe, all that stuff on iTunes and wherever else.
Guys, we're back to our regularly scheduled programming of book chapters because there's no more show.
So for show-only watchers, what a great chance to dive into the book series.
Join us.
We have the whole first book started up, so go back to the prologue, start your prologue read, give it a listen. But until
join us, I'm gonna go crazy Dany Mad Queen and just start giggling in your face about how I'm always right and my ideals are the right ones.
You don't want him to giggle in your face.
No one wants me to giggle in your face.
Anyway, let us know what you guys think, what you thought of the show. We look forward to hearing from you. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next episode.
I'm going north of the wall with Jon and Ghost. I'm out this bitch.
Ballard Harris.
Peace.